Good afternoon, everyone. We apologize for the slight delay. Is my mic on? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? No. Okay.
How does it work?
I don't know. Mics.
Just speak loudly for now.
Okay, I'll speak loudly for now. So I'll start out with a short announcement. Tomorrow, Tuesday, December 1st, from 5 to 7 p.m., we have another Great Ukraine event under the title, So Who is Felix? An exploration of the illusion of nostalgia for empire. This is a discussion with Ukrainian author and translator Sofia Andruchovich, which will center on her book, Felix Austria, from 2014. Today's event is co-sponsored by the American Center for European Ukraine. We are grateful for their support in organizing it. It is my great pleasure to introduce Svatoslav Vakarchuk, a Yale World Fellow, social activist and lead vocalist for Okean Elzy, the most successful rock band in Ukraine. As an activist, here we go. As an activist, Svatoslav supported the Orange Revolution and is founder of the nonprofit Люди майбутнього, People of the Future. People of the Future's programs include Книга творити людину, A Book Creates a Man, Освіта крайною, The Country's Education, 3D Project, Думай, Ді, допомагай, 3D Project, Think, Act, Help. In parliamentary elections in 2007, he appeared as an independent candidate on the Our Ukraine People Self-Defense Bloc's list. In early September 2008, Svatoslav renounced his seat in the Verkhovna Rada party due to a corrupt political climate. In 2005, he was named a Goodwill Ambassador for the United Nations Development Program and became a member of the Parliamentary Committee on Freedom of Expression and Information. The Ukrainian magazine Correspondent ranks him as one of the 100 most influential people of Ukraine. He holds a degree in theoretical physics and has released 8 studio albums with his band. Svatoslav, the floor is yours.
Thank you. First of all, you can call me Slava. It's much easier for non-Slavic speakers to call me just Slava. It's how they call me in America. Secondly, thank you for inviting me here. It's a great pleasure to be just here in this wonderful building, full of many smart people, I hope, and today the audience, I hope, as well. And yes, it's when you invited me to come here, I was like a little bit struck because I'm not a official, like political figure who represent the country. I'm just the one who loves my country very much and wants to do something. So I will say today I represent those who is called a civic society. I'm one of these people. But I will talk about education and educational Marshall Plan, but let me start from history. Before I start, how much time do I have for my speech, and do we have Q&As, because I just don't know.
Yes, if you maybe speak for 20 minutes or so, and then we'll have the Q&A.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. So if you recall classics, then you remember, especially ancient Greeks, you remember that Plato, a famous Greek philosopher and scientist, when he wrote his famous book, Republic, in his Republic he describes the idea of ideal state, which is something imposed from top down. So he says that both democracy and autocracy are bad. By the way, he said that democracy is bad. Yeah, but he says that instead of that, we need to have a sort of a power of wise men, ideal wise men who will impose their wisdom, and everybody will benefit from that. And these ideas of top-down changes were very dominant at the time. So he didn't believe in some power of people, and actually it's understood because he lived just in time with Athens was ruined after Peloponnesian War by Sparta, and so they thought that democracy is something bad. But then the most prominent pupil and student, Aristotle, in his book Politics, he proposed the idea completely different, the opposite idea, that the main thing for a good country, a good state, is actually a good household. And the household as a unit is something very important for building a society. So he proposed the idea that bottom-up movement is much more important than the top-down movement. So that's how he argued with his teacher, not only about this, but many other things. But actually, the ideas of Aristotle were not very popular during Middle Ages, because actually Plato was somebody who actually, after emerging of Christianity, became like hegemonic over European history. Only after Renaissance and New Age, ideas of Aristotle became to conquer the space once again. And so after the idea that the man can do something, a simple man can do something, we got New Age, scientific revolution, enlightenment, everything. So I think that the ideas that the changes can be done from bottom up is very important. Although I'm not that idealistic or naive, just to say that I support only Aristotle's approach, I would say that both of these great wise men were right, and we need to combine both bottom-up and top-down movements. And especially Ukraine is a country which badly needs both of these currents to meet somewhere in one point. This point, when the moment where they meet, the civil society and the new leaders and new political movement, new people responsible for the future of country, when they meet, at that point, very point, we'll have a sort of, a transition, a tipping point, a chain reaction, name it. And that will be the moment when Ukraine will start changing very fastly, drastically, and rapidly. Before that, we will face, I believe, probably gradual, probably little by little changes, but these changes will be both, I would say, disappointingly slow for some observers, external observers, and also not so, encouraging for people living in the country. So how to do these two things, how to encourage, how to bolster, how to, gain this bottom-up movement and also top-down movement, and to meet them together. Today, one of the problems in Ukraine is that civil society and power don't listen each other and don't want to listen each other, and moreover, they are not ready to listen to each other. Not because they don't want to, but because they don't have, this mindset of perception of life. So we have good specialists, we have good physicists, we have scientists, we have people who do rocket science. We even have I believe we have some good, economists and lawyers. But these people are with different mindset. Something that is, it's a legacy of probably 70 years of Soviet rulership. Probably, I would say even further to past. Say like last couple of 100 years of Ukrainian history, made Ukrainians a sort of thinking. So Ukrainians became like people who always afraid of change, of some changes. They also are people who, from the other point of view, they're waiting for somebody to come and to do something for them. So that's still a very paternalistic society. But today, especially after the two revolutions we had, especially after Maidan revolution, which took place 2 years ago, we see an enormous, amount of new civil energy, which is there, which is in the country. But I would say this energy is a sort of, so nobody knows how to use it, correctly or practically, or make it work just in the direction the country needs. So in my opinion, the problem is that we lack people with a mindset you people in the West do have. So it's not just values or mentality, it's just different perception of life, it's just different skills they teach you here in the schools, in universities, and other places that probably make people with, I don't want to use Western, I would say I would say, the more progressive and more practical mindset, being successful, and and that is something Ukraine lacks. I'll give you two examples. What is the difference between secondary and probably high school and university education in Ukraine and, for example, in the United States? So two differences are: first is that in our country, teacher is always right. They teach you that somebody who is above you is always right. You're not encouraged to challenge or to question teacher. You just need to get everything for granted, and it's something. It's a skill. It's a skill that a young kid is being taught and is brought up with, that there is somebody like in this pyramid hierarchy who is higher than you, and he's always right. And it makes you, when you grow older, you grow as a grown-up, you become unconfident, you become paternalistic, you become and you mistrust people because you just don't know. You feel that somebody can be wrong, but you're not taught, and you're not learn how to question people, how to challenge them, how to fight with your some wrong ideas that you think wrong, with your energy, with your arguments, with your knowledge. So you can be even knowledgeable, you can know the things, but you don't know how to use them. That's one problem. The second thing is the Ukrainian education still gives you the biggest goal of Ukrainian education is to give you to feed you up with as much information as possible. Nowadays, I think it's a little bit old-fashioned approach, because information costs nothing or almost nothing. You have Google and Wikipedia and all other things. So it's not an information, not facts that you need to be given in schools, but just ability to the school should get from you, should find what your biggest skill is, and should give you a possibility to express yourself, and to by the time you graduate from university, you need to know who you are and what are you strong in. Contrary to that, Ukrainians just think that the more information all of them know, the better it is. So by the time you finish the school, and sometimes in university, you just don't know what you're going to do. And not because you don't have work, but you still don't know, like, what are you? Like, who are you, and what are you? And what are your best skills? What's your competitive advantage? As I call it, what's your signature dish? Nobody knows that. And these two things, we need to have people with mindset which differs from the one I just now described you. So my idea is that nowadays Ukraine is facing hard times, and we always, on a high level, on summits, on also private negotiations and some political talks, we always in bilateral negotiation between the United States and Ukraine and other countries in Ukraine, we always talk about what Ukraine is needed, what should be done for Ukraine, what can be done for Ukraine, what we Americans can do. And there are many things we talk about. The first, certainly, is financial aid, IMF deals and things like that, World Bank deals and agreements. Some people today raise the question of military aid, which is certainly ambiguous, and people, have second thoughts on that, and it's a hard discussion. I don't want to discuss that deeply, although if you have questions, I have my personal opinions on that as well. But in my point of view, all these issues are they are helpful, but they are tactical, because it's something that extinguishes the fire, and it's necessary that we extinguish the fire. But before even we extinguish the fire, we need to start and parallelly or simultaneously, we need to start thinking about rebuilding, renovating the building which is ruined when you have that fire. And nobody talks about that. And actually, for me, education and educational stuff and educational things and issues are the most important, the most vital, and probably, I'm dare say, the only workable and practically, and plausibly, possibly implemented in a strategic future for Ukraine. Because before we have these new people with new mindset, with new approach to life, with ability to use their energy and skills and commitment in a right way, you will always feel disappointment. You will see distrustful people who want to do something but don't know how, who feel abandoned in their own country, who feel unnecessary in their own country. And we need a lot of these people, not just 10 or 20 or 100 people. We need thousands of these people. So my proposal is not instead of talking of everyday financial aid or some high political issues, but part of that, we need to talk about what I call educational and Marshall Plan for Ukraine. So it's theoretically, it looks very simple. So what I want us to do is to encourage thousands of young Ukrainians come to Western countries or countries with Western values, not necessarily Western countries like the US, Europe, Australia, Singapore, people who know what is, to be responsible for their own life. And give them opportunity. Give these Ukrainians opportunity to study as undergrads, as graduate students, as fellows of MA's programs or different other programs. Give them an opportunity to spend their time with good teachers in good universities, probably not necessarily all the top universities, but just good universities, in order to get these people back and work them for Ukraine. Big amount of these people, I think, will make a difference. Just few examples won't make a difference. That's also my conviction. But I think that a lot of people, thousands of them, will make a difference. They won't come back with idea, I'm not needed in my country, or what should I do now after being MA, having an MA degree in law, economics, or political sciences. If there will be a lot of them, they will create their own forced society, probably even political movement, and they will start changing things. They won't be alone anymore. So we need to have a lot of them. In order to have a lot of them, we need to have two things. First, significant financial help and aid, which is a big deal, and it's a hard thing to get now, but it's still, in my point of view, it's comparable or probably less than money we ask for, some practical financial aid today, and much less than we ask from organizations or agencies like IMF or World Bank. It's not just tens of billions of dollars. It's probably, I would say, if you got like $500 million, which is big money, but comparable in comparison to all these programs we're asking for, is affordable money, both for private sources and probably for the governmental sources. And if, for example, a country like the United States of America will be ready to commit in this kind of help, it will be great. The second thing, we need to have, what I say, a political lobby. So this idea is going to work if promoted by the highest authorities of the country, including the first people in the country, including the president, leaders of Congress. And I think if we raise this question and we start talking about that today, probably by the beginning of this academic year, we'll already have first people to join this program. I personally push it hard because I really believe it works. And we already had many meetings, and we have a sort of a core of initiative group, people who are eager and able to commit and to be involved in this process. And I think the hard issue and the hard, I would say, like something. So the problem with this is that this program, it won't be. You won't see a flourishing result in the nearest future. It takes time. So you need probably 2, 3, 4, 5, probably sometimes 10 years, and in a bigger scale, probably a generation to make a difference. And some practitioners can say that it's like, it's idealistic and it's probably not very practical, but because we need to change things now and to repair things now. But I believe that without changing the mindset of civil society, without having a bunch of leaders who are born, who are raised in this society, within this society, we will not manage to go further. We will not manage to make a leapfrog, which Ukraine is badly needs now. And all other issues, all these tactical issues we talk about now, will be just fire extinguishing, nothing more. And I wish for my country real progress. So and many people like me, we are ready to work hard. We are ready to keep some patience, just working hard. We are ready not to see result today, but we need to have the strategy, and we need to go to see the goal, and need some tools, and need some transport, some vehicle, education. I would say that even enlightenment, a right enlightenment for Ukrainian civil society is this vehicle. That's what we need now. Before that, we will just go on foot, and go on foot in comparison when other countries are using their cars is very difficult. So that's what we are asking for. That's what we're pushing now, and I hope this idea will find support through American society and through American, thinkers, and also through American political, elite in society, in Beaumont, as we say in French. And this is my message. Thank you for listening to that.
Thank you so much, Slava. So while people are thinking of the questions to ask, I wanted to ask you, is your thinking, at what age do you think we need to start these exchanges? You want to bring people here. What do you think is a good age at which the mindset can be really influenced?
This is the difficult question. So we can have three kinds of programs. The most effective, theoretically, but more probably the most the hardest to implement, is to have the youngest people, probably at their high schools, and to bring them here and to give them an opportunity to study for a long time, first in high school, then in university. And then probably you'll have hope that some of them will come back, because believe me, the majority of them will already, if you take a child or like a student in his younger years to the country, from Ukraine to the country like the United States, the probability that they want to stay in the country like the United States will be very high. So probably 80% will gonna never come back to Ukraine. But these people, the probability that they will be different, thinking perspective is closer to 100%. Then probably the other idea is just to have people who graduate universities, to bring undergrads here and to give them opportunity to get their BA, or probably bring them for 4 years or 5 years or 6 years. It's still very good, but I still believe that first of all it's very expensive, because you need to grant all this the duration of their stay should be granted by somebody. They don't have money for coming here, and it boosts the cost of everything seriously. but I think these people will be different. The most practical and probably the most plausible for me idea and method today is to bring people who already want to commit and to work for Ukraine, and who already are relatively, I would say, grown up. They're still young, probably they're late 20s or early 30s. They're already professionals, but they just need this injection of some new mindset. And probably MA programs for these people would be something that is the most practical. And it's also cheaper, I think. So 1 or 2 years in some good, and also is that, the probability to get a good place in prestigious university is higher as well, because MA programs are, I would say, easier to apply for. I wouldn't say they're worse. It's easier because because that's the system. That's how education works. And also the probability of these people to come back is very high, probably close to 100%, because these are people, they already know what they want in their life. They just need something. Probably I will say it's like example of me, because I'm here for Yale World Fellowship for just 1 semester, and I always treated myself as a more or less educated and broad-minded person. And believe me, this 4.5 months changed me rapidly. I mean, drastically. It's something that I needed, and I'm very happy to have. And I think if we have like hundreds and thousands of bright young people, energetic, ready to sacrifice part of their life, and if they're given an opportunity to spend a year with good scholars in good environment, and moreover with good, they will be provided new methods of living their life. I would say even that. I mean, it's probably sounds very utopian, but it works. Though these people will make a real difference, but we don't need them in small amounts. Like 10 or 20 or 30 people will not make a difference. Like thousands of people will make difference, because when I already know tens, like, and probably even hundreds, some say hundreds of people who already went through all this process and applied for universities and even got degrees, and all of them are frustrated and say we're not needed in our countries. They don't recognize our special value, our special skills. If you have 50 of yourself for country, they won't recognize you. But if you have 5,000 of you ready to work together jointly, cohesively, so you don't need recognition of your officials. You'll just come and become your officials yourself.
And I just want to add what occurred to me when you were talking about young people coming and potentially wanting to stay. What occurred to me is the Indian diaspora, for example, in California, in Silicon Valley, where, yes, many of them stayed, but they are now giving back to their country, and they're investing back in India, and they're bringing business back to India. So something like that could happen in Ukraine as well.
That's true, and there are many studies, I think Oxford University studies is a famous one, which analyzed how, what they call their brain drain impacts the country's development. And if it's if people just flee from the country because they don't have any other choice, that impacts country badly. But if it is a sort of, if you say, how Indians do, how I think Chinese do that as well. And actually the famous example of that was the one program created, probably one of the first in the world, was created by Lee Kuan Yew for Singapore, when he just created a program which encouraged young people to go and study abroad. They provided them immediately after that with internship and then with workplaces. But even if you don't have a possibility to provide all of them with some workplaces, you just change something in the mentality of the whole generation, because these people usually are the most initiative and they are leaders, and they come back or even don't come back, but they somehow impact all people who listen to them, for whom they are authorities, and you start to change slowly, little by little. But before changing, you need to know what to change and how to change, and what things should be different. For example, these 2 points, what Ukrainian education, how it differs from, for example, American or Western education, and 2 points which should be changed. It's not something that I got in one day. It came to me after many hours of thinking. Probably even I needed to come here to understand what's the difference. I needed to taste it. And but things like that, you can, it's only one educational difference on only one thing. Probably good lawyers, people who apply for graduate or MA programs in law schools or schools of economics or financial schools, will make probably even bigger difference than me, just a liberal arts guy.
Thank you. So let's go to the audience. Let's start right here in the front.
Hi, my name is George Kent. I'm a State Department employee. I will be working in Kiev starting next year.
Thank you.
I have a question for you. Although I'm a U.S. government employee, I can talk about that later if you're interested about what we do for scholarships. But specifically, while you're here, before you go back to Ukraine, do you have any intent to go out to the West Coast? There's a discussion about the India diaspora. One of the most famous sons of Ukraine who helped create value and jobs, Sergey Brin, was born in Ukraine and founded Google here in the United States. And when I've been in Ukraine, I've talked to people and said, is he active? Is Google doing anything in terms of corporate social responsibility? And they may be doing it, but I haven't heard it. So I'm wondering if you've thought about going out, talking to him. Mark Zuckerberg's a little bit different because I think it was his grandparents who were born in Ukraine and emigrated, but particularly Sergey Brin, because the IT sector, as you know, is one of the bright lights of the Ukrainian economy. There are thousands of young Ukrainians who are helping the worldwide IT division, and that's potentially a partnership that might work. And obviously people like Sergey Brin do have a lot of money if there's ability to get him hooked into the idea of investing in Ukraine's future in a way that actually can potentially help Google as well.
Thank you for a great question. First of all, I just came back from California 2 days ago, and I had, among other things I did there, even during Thanksgiving week, I had a lecture at Berkeley University, and I also visited Stanford University for some private meetings. And I also have been to Google's headquarters because one of my closest friends works for Google for last, I believe, 14 years already. So before they became public. And I never heard, I know who Sergey Brin is, but I always thought that he was raised in Moscow, and I don't know if you're right, so I won't question your knowledge, but I never knew that he was from Ukraine. Okay, I'll check it, and yeah. I don't know. If he recognizes his, ties, it will be great, and certainly it's a good idea. But before coming to somebody with a like him, I think it's much more practically and strategically successful to have an idea. When you come to people like him, you need to say that both Ukrainian and American authorities support it, and here you have blessing of these two responsible groups, right? And then I believe people are more inspired and encouraged by this fact, because they understand that it's not just an idea of some activist like Slava is, but it's something that it's in the air in relationship between two countries. And also I believe that Silicon Valley companies already make a difference, because they create a lot of outsourced jobs for Ukrainian programists and IT specialists. And I believe, probably correct me if I'm wrong, but Ukraine nowadays is if not the most, then one of the most flourishing and booming industries in Europe. I mean, Ukrainian capacity and number of Ukrainian programists working in industry is amazing. And Lviv, my native city, is one of the biggest IT hubs in Eastern Europe and probably even in Europe at all. So we do have these ties informally, and they already by hiring a lot of thousands, literally, of Ukrainians, not only Google, by others like Microsoft, all these giant organizations, and I believe others, they already make a difference. And certainly, if we will have, it will be an official policy of the United States to help Ukraine in educational issues, I think it will be much easier for people like me, for activists, to encourage rich people to donate their money in that. You can say that it's a chicken-egg question. Probably we can start from money as well. Okay, we'll do things simultaneously, but I still believe that we need to have this idea loudly said or articulated in the highest levels of American policy.
Okay, right here, please.
Second row.
My name is Bill Miller. I was ambassador in Ukraine 93 to 98. What you have said this afternoon is right on the mark, in my view. The benefits of extending educational opportunity to the greatest number will yield the most result. We have programs that are very active, not as active as they should be. Fulbright, Muskie Fellows, and you have great universities like Kyiv Mohyla Academy that have set a new standard of excellence. We should do everything possible to carry out what you've suggested. $500 million invested in education would have far more result than $500 million in weapons.
Absolutely, that's what I always say.
But most important, in my view, is the change in Ukraine that has taken place because of the Maidan revolutions, both the Orange Revolution and the Euromaidan. It has changed the nature of leadership and possibility. It has changed the value system. It has changed the morality and ethics of Ukrainian leadership. You're an example of the new generation that has come out of Maidan. And 40% of the Rada are from Maidan. And the prospects seem to me very propitious and optimistic.
Thank you.
And we should do everything possible to carry out what you've suggested.
Thank you. May I comment shortly, because it's very important. Thank you for your kind words, Mr. Ambassador. It's really great to hear something from a person who knows what Ukraine is really. And just one short comment. You said that 40% of new Rada, which is Ukrainian parliament, are from Maidan, or are like consequences of revolution. That probably is true. I don't know 40, 30, or how many, probably you know even better. But the problem is that even these 40% of people, although some of them are very, encouraged and inspired by revolution, and they're ready to commit and to be involved in different processes, the problem is the majority of them also lack this new mindset I'm talking about. It's not just to be a patriotic. it's not just to be willing. Some of these people, and I take a bow to them, and I fully respect all that they do, because some of them are willing even to give up their life and to like, it's the dearest the man can have, and they're ready to sacrifice their life for the sake of future of Ukraine. But somehow, sometimes you see that to sacrifice your life and to ready to fight till the death, it's not the most effective way. Sometimes you need to have just a little more modest commitment, but with different approach, and just somehow to be stubborn, in a good way stubborn, to be arrogant, in a good way arrogant. I especially use these bad words, and then give them a good perspective. And, self-confident in a good way is what Ukraine sometimes badly needs. Not just romantics who are ready to die, but weak, easy to be, cheated, to be used, to be disappointed, everything. So we need this new kind of people. We need these pioneers who build your country, just ready to work step by step, gradually, every day, having the goal, and sometimes straightforwardly, sometimes what to wind a little bit, but to know that there is a goal there, and we need to be there. And we need this new kind of leaders and new people who know how, know what, and know why.
Thank you, Slava. So let's go to the center here. Maybe let's ask 2 questions in a row, and then let Slava respond. So these 2 ladies.
Thank you. I am Svetlana Shields, director of the Washington Group Council Fund. And it's impressive to hear you talk about education, because I think you yourself is an educator. As a singer, you are the conscience of Ukraine. I was coming to this talk, and I was listening to your songs, and I wanted to tell you, I need to tell it in Ukrainian, because I was thinking that each of your song is like жаданий ковток холодної води серед липневої спраги. It's come to me.
Yeah, you just need to translate it. It's beautiful.
Thank you. It's like cold water among.
It's a desirable sip of
summer heat.
Cold water during a summer heat, July heat.
Your idea about bringing people here is amazing, and you're absolutely right. But I think at the same time, I don't want to substitute, maybe to build more like American University in Kiev, or other Yale Federal in Kiev, something like that, so Ukraine will be able to filter. And I'm also teach at the George Mason University. I would be happy to come and teach and share my knowledge, what I learned in this country. I also would like to hear what you learn here, but we don't have too much time, so maybe
I can tell you later.
Maybe
if you want. I have my time. I know we have task schedule here, but I still have half an hour afterwards, so we can have like private conversations a little bit. Yeah, right? I think so.
I got up to be able to be heard and to pour some cold water on your great discussion.
Great.
My name's Martha Bohachevsky-Chomiak.
Great.
And I've spent a good 30 years in exchanges of various kinds. And I admire what you want to do, but let me also caution you that what Ukraine often has and what you're demonstrating is a tremendous surge of enthusiasm and real oomph to do things. But then there are 2 difficulties, and these are the things that if I were you, I would pay attention to. First of all, Ukraine does not know how to build on what it has. It is not necessary to discover exchanges. You already have exchanges. We already have exchanges. It is necessary to build on what already exists. The other thing is you already have groups of people, as you pointed out, in Ukraine who have profited, as you yourself, twice you have profited from exchanges. You need to get together with those people who are in Ukraine and build on what exists. And this is what will make Ukraine stronger. I will also challenge your statement that many people who come on exchanges don't return. On the contrary, almost everybody who goes on an official exchange, government exchange, comes back to Ukraine. So continue your work, but do not make the mistake that women generally make, discovering women's issues every single generation. Build on what exists in Ukraine.
Thank you. Should I comment on two questions?
Please go
right?
ahead.
First of all, on your question, I'm sorry, I don't remember your name. Was it? Svetlana, yeah. It was a great question, and by like promoting my idea, I don't undermine things that you say. I think that it's very important, and many foundations, like for example Soros Foundations, many other, already help doing these things in Ukraine. And I think that in a long strategy, this is even more important thing than to bring Ukrainian students to West, because it makes a stable foundation for a sustainable, educational process and changes within the country. But in a mid-range strategy, I think it will give less results than just bringing the most talented and committed people here for a year or two, and they will come back, and they, not in a short, in a middle-range strategy, they will make more difference. So that's sad. I mean that both approaches are right. As Aristotle and Plato both are right, I believe that both you and me are right. So if you want me, and once again you have ideas, how can I help in this movement and in this, promotion, this idea, I can be helpful and I can be somehow involved as well. Although once again, I'm focused on something that we need tomorrow. You are focusing on something that we need day after tomorrow. And our politicians today are focusing on something that we need today and probably not today in 10 minutes. And this is good. Somebody needs to do that. Probably without that, Ukraine won't survive. I don't know. But it doesn't give you a perspective. So what? We survived today, and so what? So what about tomorrow? So where is the goal? What is the future our children are going to live for? This is something that I'm thinking about. Actually, it's something that strikes me always in our society, where we still, I keep repeating it all the time, we still consider our country as a country of the common past. And I want us to consider a country as a country of the common future, because it's something that makes a difference, that makes you work hard, like do your best to create this future for yourself, not only just for your children or for your mythical, like people who will come after you, but only for you, also for yourself. You need to see the fruits of what you do. You need to see the flourishing, results of your work. If you are relatively young, you know that probably in one generation, in 20, 30 years, when you'll be older, you'll see the results. And the results not necessarily should be an utopian or unrealistic result. Let's Ukraine make as rich as Switzerland in 20 years. Like when somebody says that, I say, he's lying to you, because it's, first of all, it's populism. Secondly, when people say something like that, they don't care at all. They just want to say something. My goal is more realistic. I just want to see a real difference from today, just real difference. And if we manage to do what our Western neighbors from our former colleagues, like fellows from our Soviet bloc or some other countries in Eastern Asia achieved in 1 or 2 generations, I'll be the happiest man in the world. But let's do both. Regarding your comments, thank you. They are both great, and I almost agree with everything. The one thing I don't agree with that what I promote that we really need something that we don't need now. So I don't agree with you that we already have everything we need to build a good country. I think there is something we lack, and this is a robust, big layer of civil society which thinks differently. I know many of these young, prominent people. The problem is either they're not the scale and the potency, the ability, the skills don't have that I want them to have, or those who have, they're very few. I mean, yeah, we have them. I know probably personally 30, 40 people who are great, but 30, 40 people for 45 million country, it's nothing. You need to have 4, 5, I bet 40,000 people like that. And that's what I'm trying to say. And I know that these exchanges exist, but there is, this year we have 1 undergrad student from Ukraine at Yale University. 1. You know how many people from India or China or, for example, Turkey you have at Yale? It's times more. That's what we need. If we have, I will be happy if I see the result that at Yale University we have, in 2 years we have not 1 but 5 people. It's already a good result. But not only at Yale, Harvard, or Columbia, or Georgetown, but also in other universities throughout U.S. or England, France, Germany, other countries who already did the job before us. It's not that I want us to be like the United States or like Germany or like England. I think all countries, they have their weaknesses, their strong things, and actually Ukrainians will never be Germans or Brits and vice versa. But at least we need to use the things that somehow historically, under circumstances, these countries or these peoples went through earlier. Some of them just hundreds years earlier. Some of them just generations earlier. And let's use that. Why not?
Let's take one last round of questions. We started a little early, so we'll go a few minutes over. So let's go to the back. Some people have been. So yeah, let's take that question, and then we'll take.
Hello, my name is Leonid Kantor. I'm Ukrainian film director, but I don't speak English, so I will speak Ukrainian, okay?
Okay.
Дуже дякую, Слава.
I will translate myself, okay.
Дуже дякую за твої слова. Спасибі тобі, що ти не на зброю хочеш кошти, а на освіту. Це я тобі дякую. Але додати хотів би теж до цього, що в нас вже є вивчених українців по всьому світу, освічених. Це наша діаспора. І тому насправді те, що треба пропагувати, це треба пропагувати, щоб вони всі освічені, молоді, красиві, поїхали до нас і стали викладачами, лікарями, не знаю, поліцейськими, всім, хто вони вміють бути, і просто вже зі своєю освітою втілили це в Україні і навчили поруч тих, що поруч. Це і дешевше, і менше ризиків матиме.
Дякую. Thank you for the question. For those probably who don't understand Ukrainian, the question was, so we have a lot of educated Ukrainians, Western Ukrainians who are actually members of Ukrainian diaspora. So why don't you ask just them to come back to Ukraine and to commit to the country? First of all, I think that many of them do a great job already. And I know some of them, like for example, like my friend Alexa, who is sitting here, and many others. And I believe, I know your daughter, or your relative Dora is yeah, so people like Dora and other people who I know who are well Western educated, Princeton, Yale, and other great universities educated people, they already do, and they do make a difference. But first of all, you need to understand that real diaspora, these are people who are consciously or under circumstances left that part of the world, and they are living now in a different world. The majority of these people you're talking about are already Americans, Canadians, Argentinians, French, and others. So they suddenly feel Ukrainians inside, but they have different life, and we can't, blame them that, for example, under circumstances, their ancestors, descendants of the families were, moved from Ukraine by force, or they found themselves living in different, some of them were lucky to get like out of the country, some not. Some of them, like new immigration, they fled from Ukraine because they were like thinking, like searching for better life. So you can ask, but some of them, the most inspired and committed, already do the job, and some of them will never come because they already made their choice. I mean, they already here. So what we can ask them, just to back this idea, to stay together. At least their moral support will be helpful. And sometimes probably their money, I don't remember how you call it in English, this money you send back to their families. Yeah? Remittances, right. So they already do that. And let's say thank you let's thank them for these things. But one more thing is that I think now is time for educating as much new people as possible, but probably it's still not right time to say come back. At least I don't know who is gonna say that and who is the person they're gonna believe to. So probably we'll wait a little bit.
Okay, let's take one last question over there in the back also, and then, well, you.
I'm also asking Ukraine, if it's possible.
Okay.
I'm Мичуб Олександр. Я хотів вас спитати, ви казали про освіту, поганий рівень освіти, да, як наслідок, погане застосування цих людей з новою освітою. І Леонід так само додав, чи ви пропонуєте виростити нове насіння? А чи формується вже ґрунт до цього? Тобто, розумієте, чи є якась група, чи хто формує місце, де ці люди знайдуть себе? Ті, хто знайшов себе, зможуть втілитись. Дякую.
Дякую. Once again, I'll try to translate the question shortly. So you propose to educate as much people as possible, so these people are seeds. And what about the soil? Is there a soil, or is there like already other conditions under which this soil can be fruitful and the harvest will be good? I will say, I will answer you allegorically. Ukraine has and always had the best soil in the world.
Excellent. I think on this great note, let's all thank Slava for
Thank you very much.
for his presentation.
Thank you very much. Thank you.